Hey out there, welcome to the Kevin Strong Show. And in this video, we're going to talk about Social Security. And even if you're not close to receiving it, you're going to want to pay attention to this video because indirectly it can and will affect you. Welcome to the show. If you're new, think about subscribing, hitting that like button. So the news is out, and they think that probably in 2025 that people who want Social Security we're going to receive somewhere around a 2.3 to 2.5 to 2.6 increase in their Social Security benefits. So we're going to look at a chart that shows you the breakdown of different categories within Social Security benefits and show you how small of amount this is. And more importantly, or equally importantly, you can factor in if they're only giving out a 2.4 or 2.5% increase cost of living adjustment for Social Security benefits, wage earners are probably not going to get that much more, if not less. They use something called the CPW, if I'm not mistaken, Consumer Price Index for wages and clerical employees. They actually should be using what's called the CPE, my understanding, and that is an index that is specifically targeting people who are 62 years of age or older, and also taking into account their spending patterns. Maybe they're spending a little bit more on health and other things at 62, somebody who's in retirement, opposed to the other index, which is the CPIW, which is the wage earner. But do your own research. This is not financial advice, but like I said, more than likely, if the increase for Social Security is going to be around 2.5%, roughly, give or take. Look for wages to follow suit. We all know that inflation is at a much, much higher rate. You guys who have followed me know I've done tons of videos talking about how nefarious and how evil compounding inflation can be. Compounding interest can be a very, very beneficial thing if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, but it cuts both ways. Conversely, when you have inflation that's compounding and your wages and benefits are not keeping up with inflation, it has a devastating impact on your ability to maintain a quality of life. So we're going to slide over here and look at this first article. After this article, I'm going to show you a graph that really illustrates how systematically the government is just robbing these seniors, and they're just not going to be able to keep up with inflation, and it's going to get much worse before it gets better. Increase in Social Security checks by 2025. This is a complete list of all Social Security benefit increases, and I'm going to go through this kind of slow, but we're not going to hit every point. As you can see right here, the first category is retirement benefits, Social Security checks, estimating a 2.5% COLA increase, 2.6% COLA increase. You know, it's going to fall somewhere in that range. The point being, you can see here, if you're at $900, you're basically going to get another $50. And you can see this down here. Here's $70. That's $67. You know, this is basically, for all practical purposes, you get $100 a month if you're 70 years old. Assuming that you can walk to the damn mailbox and even get the check. So, I mean, I shouldn't be making fun of this, but this is just sad. This is why I keep telling you guys, you must do something to exceed inflation. Don't be so quick to retire. You need to do something that's going to allow you to continue to beat inflation that's not labor intensive. Here's the next category: survivor benefits, Social Security checks, the same thing. The estimated COLA increases for each one of these categories. Look at these numbers. Dismal, dismal, dismal. Just unbelievable. 2 children under survivor benefits, $36.53 to $37.47. That's not even $100 increase. And you got survivor benefits, and there's 2 children on the benefit package. How are you able to maintain any quality of life or standard of living with these insignificant COLAs? You've got to make sure you're putting yourself in a position to beat inflation before you get to this point where your mental acuity is starting to diminish, your cognitive ability, is starting to diminish, and you get to the point where you're unable to earn a wage at the most inopportune time when the inflation walls are squeezing in on you year by year. This is by design, in my humble opinion, not to put on my tinfoil hat. The reason why I say it's by design is because they don't have the money. They're already talking about extending the full retirement age a couple of years because they're worried about Social Security being insolvent or going bankrupt. Not bankrupt, but going insolvent. So they're talking about either reducing benefits by 2033, 2034, or extending how long it takes for you to qualify for your full-time retirement age and things of that nature. So they're not going to really put the real CPI numbers in here to reflect what real inflation is, because if they did that, these COLA increases would have to be significantly larger, and they don't have the money. This is all by design. So once again, push away the left, push away the right, and everything will be all right. Wait till you see this next graph that kind of illustrates this, and it goes from 2010, ladies and gentlemen, all the way up to 2020. It's like a 10-year period. So this is really, really, really going to illustrate how bad things are and how people have fallen behind that are on Social Security when they're trying to keep up with inflation. Let me pull this next map up here and give my mouse time to adjust. Okay, so as you can see here by the title of this, cost of living adjustments less likely to beat inflation. So the blue, as you can see, is coded below as when it beats inflation, and the red is when the COLA did not. So red is bad, blue is good. So as you can see here, we're okay in the 80s, we're okay in the 90s, and then in 2000, we're okay. But starting in 2010, which is 15 years ago, only 40% of that decade, the COLA beat inflation. The other 60%, the other 6 years, for easy math, the COLA did not beat inflation. And look at the disparity at the next decade, in the 20s, they're estimating, because obviously we're still in it. 80% did not or has not beaten inflation. This number is going to get astronomically worse before it gets better. This is something that we cannot take lightly, because as I've said at earlier points in this video, as they continue to put a ceiling on the cost of living adjustments for those who are eligible to receive Social Security benefits, don't be surprised if they do the same thing to those who are working and give them incremental raises as well. So regardless if you're retired or you're working, both bucket of individuals, inflation's just eating away at that, and you just cannot keep up with that. You have to figure out a way how to reduce your debt and then increase your income. I've talked about this before, how automation is taking away a lot of jobs. UPS just announced that they're laying off, I forgot, another 10,000 workers. So first in, first out. So really, really sad situation. Finally, last but not least, let's talk about some stocks. I was on fire, as Denzel's movie Man on Fire. I was on fire this week. I was getting 111%. I was killing it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to give you the one stock that I'm recommending for next week that I'm doing. Once again, I have to say this for full disclosure purposes, ladies and gentlemen. This is not financial advice. Okay. So let me give my mouse here a chance to adjust. So these are some of the things that I was recommending on Facebook. I don't have any other social media platform that you can follow me on if you're interested in finding out what I'm doing during the week. Just look my name up, Kevin Strong on Facebook, and shoot me a friend request, and I'll add you. So the first one was Broadcom. Last Friday, and this was in the video too, where we're at here. We had a 145, and I said, yep, I think this thing is forming a double bottom. As you can see here, this is a double bottom. And as you can see right here, Friday, a week later, so the day that I was talking about this, it closed at 167, right? So over a $20 swing. Once again, for those who understand options, that's a lot of money in 7 days, 4 digits. The other one I talked about on Facebook and I talked about in my video last week, I said, hey, you need to watch out for CrowdStrike. I said it was approaching a death cross. If we get confirmation on a death cross, it could go down. I talked about this. It was at, where was it at last Friday? About 2, no, it was lower than that. Am I getting the wrong stock here? Let me go make sure I'm going back to the right one. Friday, it was like at 264. It dumped down to like 245 or something like that. It went down like $20 more than what I thought it was going to go down. That also was a home run. Another one I had talked about during the week that I thought was going to go up was the Russell 2000. The symbol for that is IWM. Once again, this is all date and time stamp on my Facebook timeline. So I'm not revisiting this after the fact. I followed this and I was pretty sure that this was forming a double bottom. I was right about that. Caught the swing up on that one. That one was for 40%. The Qs had a bloodbath during the week. There was a major pull down somewhere around in here during the day or something. This was maybe like Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember the exact day, but the Qs were going down a lot. And I said, nah, this thing's going to get ready to turn back around. So I placed a pretty hefty bet. And within the day, I cashed out at 111%. And I wasn't even in that trade. It was less than 5 hours. So finally, last but not least, this is the one that I am in now and looking to see how well it does next week. Once again, this is not financial advice. This is what I'm doing. Caterpillar. So I have a I have a call. I bought an option, several options on this. And I think I bought it out of the money one around 350, if I'm not mistaken. So I see a bottom here once again. The sarcastics look like they have swung up. Sorry, I didn't pronounce that the right way. Or some people like to use the RSI, Relative Strength Index, same as this. I think this is a little bit more accurate, but it's more so a personal preference. The MACD has not given confirmation, but based on its historical pattern, I'm pretty confident we will get that. I'm trying to jump ahead of a little bit. Plus, my indicators indicate that it's a good buying signal. This white line is the 9-day moving average. We had strong volume, as you can see down here. These 2 green bars are 2 back-to-back days of strong volume. And previously, we had a lot of days negative. So this has drawn down. It has formed a base. You see what I mean right here? It's low, it's low, it's low, but it's not really going any lower. So this is forming a base. And as you look over to the left, it was kind of doing the same thing before it moved up again. So I'm expecting a little bit of a pump, a little bit of a uptrend. It may not get to a all-time high because as you can see here, you got lower highs, a lower high over here to my left, lower high, lower high, lower high. So I'm not expecting this thing to get up to like $355 or $360 a share, but I do think there's a realistic shot that it can hit 350. And that was the rationale why I entered that particular trade. So that's going to do it. I hope you guys got some good information. I'm going to put a link if you want to look at that Social Security index thing for 2025 and all the other different categories. Like I say, on average, $40, $50, $60 a month, that's not going to do anything. When you're hearing these stories about people's homeowners insurance going up $5,000 and $10,000 a year and property tax going up so much. So do what you can. Keep your credit score up and your debt down. If you have not subscribed to the Kevin Strong Show, now would be a good time to do so. Consider hitting that like button before you click off the video. Have a great weekend, ladies and gents, and I'll see you in the next one.